This is Joe. Joe is a hard-working individual with a wife, 2 kids, a mortgage, a white picket fence, and a lab. And Joe's got big plans. Oh yes, for Joe is following the American dream of starting his own small business. Now he can run things the way he wants to run it. No more reports, no more spreadsheets, no more time cards, and no more bosses. Yep, Joe's future is looking pretty bright, and he can't wait to get started. Hello, my name is Charles Alexander, Director of the Small Business Development Center at Volunteer State Community College. And Volunteer State Community College is one of several small business development centers all across the state. And for those of you looking to start your own small business, I've got some good news and some bad news. The good news is starting your own small business can be a life-changing experience. The bad news? Starting a small business can be a life-changing experience. In fact, the U.S. Small Business Administration estimates that at least 50% of small businesses don't make it in their first 5 years. They say this is due to a lack of capital, a lack of experience, and a lack of planning. We've always heard, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Well, unless you love reading financial management statements, bookkeeping, management, marketing, you're going to be doing some things that you don't love. Also, Joe really needs to take into consideration the amount of hours it takes to run a small business successfully. In the first year or two of your small business, 70 to 90 hours a week is not uncommon, and it can take an emotional, physical, and mental strain on you. Now, I don't want to discourage Joe, but I want him to know that there's a lot of thought and research that needs to go into this before he starts his own small business. And that gets us into our next piece, business planning. Business planning is a lot like using a blueprint to build a house. You wouldn't just rush out and start buying lumber and appliances and meet at a central location and start building. You'd need a blueprint with a layout and a budget and milestones. Small business is no different, yet I see people on a regular basis, for example, start a restaurant by just going out and buying some food, signing a lease, and voila, they're in business.
Does this mean I need to have 50 pages of charts and graphs?
What Joe needs to do is look at writing a business plan, identifying what he needs to do and how he needs to do it, identifying marketing, management, and financial needs.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. How much money are we talking that I'm going to need?
All right, so now's the tricky part. How's Joe going to finance this small business? He needs to figure this part out before he gets started. First and foremost, he could use his personal savings, and that is the most common way that people start a small business.
What about family or friends?
If Joe uses this method, I highly recommend that he gets a contract written no matter what. Going to Meemaw's house for Thanksgiving won't be nearly as comfortable if he doesn't.
What about credit cards?
Credit cards. Never mind. You can use credit cards, just don't use one to start your small business.
What about loans from a commercial bank?
You can still get a loan from a bank. You just need capital and collateral.
What about investors?
This is the least likely of the bunch. And you can find an investor, it's just usually going to be somebody that you already know that believes in you. A small business administration loan. The government doesn't loan money directly. This is essentially Uncle Sam co-signing with you at the bank. Now you'll notice, I didn't say grants. And there are grants that are out there for educational institutions, nonprofits, heck, even teacup museums. But I have never seen someone get a grant to start a small business. It doesn't mean it's not out there, I just haven't seen it. The last thing Joe needs to take a look at is what are the requirements that he has to fulfill in order to start a small business. And Joe's always lived by the motto, he would rather ask forgiveness than to ask for permission. And while I generally like that, this is not a good place to apply it. First, Joe needs to take a look at the legal structure for his small business. Joe needs to get an attorney because he does not need to sit down and decide between a sole proprietor, a partnership, a limited liability company, an S corporation or a C corporation on his own, and the guy in the cube next to him doesn't need to decide that for him either. The next thing Joe needs to take a look at are his taxes. There could be local, state, and federal taxes that he needs to take into consideration. This is where a good accountant can come in very handy for Joe. And the last few things he needs to take a look at are his licenses. Is he going to need a county and a city license? What are the codes and what are the restrictions that he has to take a look at before he launches? Although small business ownership can be very challenging, it can also be very rewarding. And it can allow somebody like Joe to take his dreams and turn them into a reality. Now, if you want to learn more about small business ownership, go to our website at tsbdc.org, click on training, and find a starting small business workshop that's right for you.